We interrupt this program for this breaking news alert.
A story in from Clear Lake, Iowa. Three of the nation's top rock and roll singing stars, Ritchie Valens, J.P. the Big Bopper Richardson, and Buddy Holly died today, along with an airline pilot in the crash of a chartered plane. After completing a performance last night at the Surf Ballroom in Clear Lake, the three young stars traveled to Mason City Municipal Airport for a chartered flight to Fargo, North Dakota. The plane departed this morning at 12:55 a.m. without any complications. However, the pilot failed to check in shortly after taking off, and the owner of Dwyer Flying Services decided to take another plane to follow the same flight path in the morning. A few minutes after he took off, he found the wreckage just 6 miles northwest of the airport. We have pictures now of the crash. It's horrible. Just horrible. Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the Big Bopper were on the road to highly successful careers, and now they're gone. And I don't know how to respond to that. This just in from Clear Lake, Iowa. After a once-in-a-lifetime performance at the Surf Ballroom last night in Clear Lake, the Winter Dance Party continues its tour at the Armory in Moorhead, Minnesota. However, the tour is being diverted to bigger venues as ticket sales have skyrocketed. Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and J.P. the Big Bopper Richardson have just landed in nearby Fargo, North Dakota, to a crowd of hundreds, if not thousands, of screaming teenage fans, despite the cold temperatures. And while it's cold in North Dakota, there can be no doubt that things are heating up for this young trio of rock and roll singers. Good for them. And on to other news. In Washington, briefly later.
On February 3rd, 1959, American rock and roll musicians Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and J.P. the Big Bopper Richardson were all killed in a plane crash near Clear Lake, Iowa, while on tour with a show called the Winter Dance Party, which was touring across the American Midwest. Now, the event became known as the Day the Music Died, after singer-songwriter Don McLean referred to it as such in his 1971 song, American Pie. And this is where the story behind this week's episode really starts. In 2017, I was asked to produce a show similar to the Winter Dance Party for Coshada Casino Resort in Kinder, Louisiana. As I began researching the history of the show, the performers, and the story behind that terrible plane crash, it quickly became evident that it would be a real challenge to make a positive musical production out of such tragic circumstances. These were the thoughts in my mind as I went to bed one night. And just before sleep came, a question popped into my head out of nowhere. What if the plane had never crashed? Thus was born the backstory for The Day the Music Didn't Die, my favorite show I've ever produced and the one I'm most proud of. This week, you'll get to meet the amazing cast of the show as we ramp up for an upcoming performance at Penn's Peak in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, this coming December 7th. So let's dive in.
Are you not curious?
Preparing to transfer the Ryan files. Now.
I present to you, with great intrigue and wonder, the Ryan Files.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this week for the 50th episode of the Ryan Files. And so I'm so excited. This week we have three gentlemen who I've had just the awesome ability to perform with, opportunity to perform with in the past with Legends in Concert, as well as some other shows. But these three gentlemen make up the cast of The Day the Music Didn't Die. Please welcome to the show the one and only Tim Stamper, Stingray Anthony, and George Trillinger. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, hello, hello.
Great to be here with you, Ryan.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
Thanks for having me aboard, young man.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Now, it's interesting. We've met on separate occasions in the past with Legends in Concert, starting in Myrtle Beach. And then over the years, we've worked together a number of times. But back in those days, it was always evident to me there was certain people that really stood out as amazing entertainers. And there were certain people that were just, they were good, but they weren't at that next level. You three are those individuals I would place in that category of the next level. You've been doing entertainment in some shape or form for a long time. So let's just kind of go through, starting maybe with Timmy, if you don't mind. Tell me a little bit about your entertainment career, how you got started up until what you've done, and including today, and just kind of give the folks some background about yourself.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know what that is from North Kakalaki, a distillery called the Ball Masson Distillery.
I owe so much to my own mother, who sang opera. I've thought about it a lot lately. My first time in front of an audience was when I was in kindergarten. And they had me and several others in front of the entire school playing on the xylophone, Joy to the World on the xylophone. That was my first introduction to entertainment. Nervous, really nervous. Pulled it off. Years and years later, with a group. It's a really long story, but we'll compress it. Started off doing John Belushi. When I got out of the military, out of the Army, I was a cook in an armored infantry unit in Schweizer, Germany. Started going to college at Wright State University in Dayton, Ohio, and people said, "You look just John Belushi." So started doing a show called Putting on the Hits, and a lot of lip sync competitions, and just winning. It was a cartwheeling machine back in the day too, and two sisters that were cheerleaders. And we decided to put a band together, and it took years to develop into what it was at the time I left. It was called Shaking It with Blues Review. We toured the Midwest, 10-piece band, had the car that worked. And Legends of the Concert got a hold of me, in 1992, did the International Physical Fitness Convention out in New Orleans. And wasn't long after that, they were sold on us immediately. It wasn't long after that I got to meet George on a cruise. We were aboard the Majestic, sailing to Cozumel, Mexico, places like that. So that's where George and I developed our friendship. But I joined Legends in Concert. We did several one-nighters, which is common in the beginning with Legends. Instead of getting a house gig, in my opinion, the best shows or the best gigs were the one-nighters. But if you were lucky enough to get a house gig, you had nice, steady work. And my first house gig for Legends in Concert wasn't a house at all. It was Premier Cruise Line's The Big Red Boat sailing out of Cape Canaveral. And so I went out there in September of 1994 and stayed until about mid-February of 1995 when they opened their first theater here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That was Legends in Concert then. And I was with them 15 solid years right here at the beach where I still live. Spent a lot of time in Germany doing shows over there too. And on and off, still doing the shows. Cartwheels has come down to quite the slow after breaking my wrist and things like that. But I'm lucky enough to still be in the business and love it as much today as I ever have. And now being part of the Day the Music Didn't Die, the concept I just thought was amazing. I know it was your idea. I'm not going to blow smoke where the sun doesn't shine, but you deserve it because it was a great concept. It just took me by surprise. And then when you told me about it, I said, "Oh boy, that makes sense."
Mm-hmm.
What would they be doing today? Yeah, what would they be doing if they were alive today? I thought, oh my God, what a great concept. And man, as far as doing the show, I'm not lying when I say, when I tell the audience, thank you for making me love what I do up here. I love every minute of it. And the Day the Music Didn't Die is so special. It's an honor to be part of that show. That's kind of it in a nutshell.
It's so funny. I went back over some of the past. I've got video of some of the past performances you guys have done, and at the end of the show, Timmy, the genuineness of you saying thank you so much, and we can't thank you enough for allowing us to do this. The genuineness of you saying that comes out so just blatantly clear and honest, and it's moving. It's powerful. And knowing you from behind the scenes, I know you mean it, and of course, when you mean what you say, it really shines through. So I appreciate that.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for making us love what we do up here. We're having as much fun as it looks like. Trust me. Once again, we'll meet you outside. Thank you for watching The Day the Music Didn't Die. Good night and God bless.
We're going to get to the actual day the music didn't die in a second, but let's go ahead and talk to the one and only Ritchie Valens. This guy, I've not seen very many Ritchie Valens, tribute artists, but Stingray Anthony is, I don't know if there was anybody else out there, they would be second hat, I would have to think, because this guy is amazing. Tell us about the kind of your life and your career as a entertainer. You're a great guitar player. So
thank you.
Take it away, man.
Well, I was out there playing the clubs when I was a youngin', and that movie La Bamba came out, and people came in the club and looked at me and said, "Hey, man, aren't you that guy from that movie?" And I had no clue what they were talking about, of course. So they said, like, "Hey, you haven't seen the movie?" I'm like, "No, I haven't seen that movie." So I went out and saw the movie, and I saw the guy on the screen, what, it was like 40 years ago?
Yeah.
30-something years ago. Saw the guy on the screen, and I thought, I guess I should be learning La Bamba now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was already doing some Ritchie Valens songs, but it wasn't like the thing. I was doing everybody else's songs too, So, so that kind of started the whole thing. And I was in Canada at the time. And at the time I had there was a friend of mine that he did Elvis. And he was close friends with J.D. Sumner and Charlie Hodge and James Burton and DJ Fon. He was just close with. That's the guy I got to. The reason why I got to meet all these people and work with them eventually. Yeah. And so he's like, "Well, I do Elvis," and then I said, "Well, I know a guy who does Roy Orbison," and he says, "Well, let's find a Marilyn Monroe." And I thought, "Okay, sure, let's just do it." So we started kind of like the first Legend show in the Toronto area. And that started the whole thing. And then, and I always have to reach out and thank her. Her name is Kathy Thompson. You know who she is.
Yeah.
George, you know who Kathy is.
Oh, yeah.
Kathy is. Yeah. And I worked with her, and she saw me. And at the time, she was working with Legends in concert.
Right.
So she reached out to Jon Stewart and said, "Hey, you should get this guy to come into your show in Legends." And of course, Johnny, he had no clue who Ritchie Valens was. So anyway, so I got a hold of him, or he got a hold of me. I can't remember which way it went. And she said, "Send him a videotape." So I sent him a tape of something I was doing in some show, and he called me up. It was crazy because I was living in Canada at the time, and he called me, and it was like, I think it was midnight my time, and the phone rang.
"Hey, buddy, this is Johnny."
Yeah. "Hey, buddy, this is Johnny Stewart calling from Las Vegas, the greatest Legend show." And I thought, at midnight, who are you? I never heard of you, Anyway, so that's what started the whole thing. And then he hired me to come to Branson. Branson, Missouri was the very, very first place I ever played.
Okay.
For Legends.
Right.
And it's a funny story, Ryan. You're going to like this story. I don't know if I've ever told you guys this story. I had previously, that January, I did an Elvis convention. I went up and played, like I do. I get up there with my guitar, and I actually played acoustic guitar. And I sang, and I had a 3-piece band behind me. And this lady videotaped it because she loved Elvis, And I didn't wear no jumpsuit. It was just a pink jacket. And I did all the early stuff, and I just wanted to play rhythm guitar, let the band back me. So she videotaped, and she said, "I'm going to send this to Graceland." We're talking, what, 25, 30 years ago, right? She said, "I'm going to send this to Graceland." I'm like, "Yeah, right, you are, sure. People, sure." Back then when people spoke, still today it happens. So anyhow, so she videotaped this thing, and lo and behold, about 2 months later, I get a phone call. Again, I'm standing in my kitchen, and my phone rings, and I hear this guy that says, "Hey, is this Ray Anthony?" I said, "Yes, it is." He says, "Well, I'm watching you right now." And I thought, what do you mean you're watching me? You got a camera in my house? He started laughing. He goes, no. My name is Terry Mike Jeffries. I'm calling you from Graceland. I'm here with Priscilla Presley.
Mm.
And I thought, right, okay. He goes, did you do a show and you wore a pink jacket? And I said, yeah. And I was instead of being, I'm like, she actually sent this video. She knew people, for God's sake,
Yeah.
So she sent it off and he got it. He liked it. He said, I really like what you do. I want you to come down. Now, this is before the whole thing exploded, right?
Yeah.
Said, I want you to come down and then sing at the grounds of Graceland. Because I think it was Elvis's birthday or something coming up or something like that.
Elvis week, probably. If it was summer.
Elvis week.
Yeah,
I can't
August.
remember what it was. It was so long ago, Ryan. And so I was so excited. I thought, oh my God, this is going to be so good. So I just signed a contract for Legends. So he's like, well, can you get out that day or blah, 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 blah. And I thought, well, let me call them. So I called whoever was in charge and they said, well, if you find another Ritchie Valens, then you can go ahead and do it. And I thought, yeah, that ain't going to happen. So I called Terry back and Priscilla and I said, I can't do it. They won't let me out. And he's like, well, can you come down on the Sunday? We'll arrange it on Sunday. You're off on Sunday and we'll get you a helicopter and helicopter you in and bring you back. And I started stressing out. I said, you know what? I really, really appreciate it, but I don't want to jeopardize 3 months of work.
Right.
Now, had I known any better, guys, you know this, had I known any better, I would have called up John Stewart myself and said, John,
yeah,
you want to go to Graceland? He would come and pick me up,
yeah,
put me in the car, get to the airport, and he would take me to Graceland because he loves his Elvis.
Yeah, and it would have all been his doing an idea too.
Oh, of course.
Oh
of
man,
course.
Hey buddy, remember when I set you up there and we took you to Graceland?
Exactly.
And, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so that's what happened. I started doing Legends and concert in Branson, Missouri, and I loved it. And they taped my show. They sent it to Johnny again to the Imperial Palace. And after I got done, right from Branson, Missouri, they told me to go to Vegas for a couple of weeks because they want to see what I could do. So I went there and they liked what I did. And then Michael Brown, I think, remember his name? Michael Brown, he asked me to come back. He says, come back here in January or February. And, if you could do 3 months. I said, yeah, sure. Yeah. And that kind of started the whole journey thing in Legends in Concert.
That's right. And you've gone on to obviously do your own shows and whatnot over the years. And I mean, you're just a phenomenal singer, guitar player, and you're going to always be able to work. And I think it's awesome. I really enjoy
thank you. I love what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, we all love what we do. There's nothing better than, there's no better high than getting on stage in front of an audience and playing your instrument that you sat in your room and honed your art and learned, put some time and effort into it.
Yep. Absolutely.
There's nothing more rewarding than getting on stage and have people clap and sing along and dance with you and all that stuff. It's the best high you can ever get.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, on to the last but not least, this gentleman is a legend within Legends in Concert. He was one of the very first guys. You were in the original show, were you not? The original cast? Yep.
Yeah.
And with John Stewart, John as well.
Hey, listen, buddy. Now, listen, I got a 300-pound Chinese guy, but he sounds just like Elvis. You're going to love him.
He is one of the most hilarious human beings you'll ever meet. Very uber talented, great singer, writer, guitar player, entertainer across the board. The one and only George Trillinger, baby.
We were just in Louisiana for a month, and it's great to be here with you folks here tonight. So thank you so much. Let's do one more. This is from the movie The Buddy Holly Story. Okay, all the songs I sing are from the movie The Buddy Holly Story.
Hey, boy, it's great. I'm sitting here listening to all you guys, and I can remember the first time I met each one of you. And it's just been great. I feel like the grandfather of rock and roll. I remember those boys. That Tim Stamper, what a comedian.
Yeah.
I remember that cruise. I remember the first time meeting Johnny Stewart. I came from Southern California, worked at Disneyland on the Jungle Cruise, and got to be a stand-up comedian a little bit. But I've been in a rock and roll band since I was 12, and I got a call to go. There was a fella in L.A. who made Elvis costumes named J.J. Wiggins, and I did a show for he and his wife out in the Valley with Sherry Ray, who we all know. And it just goes to show you that you never know what is going to open the door for you. So that show, because I did that show out in the Valley, it led to that phone call and being invited to Las Vegas for a 3-week gig at the Imperial Palace. And we did the reviews, came out, and it said, cute little show, should last about a month. And I'm thinking, honestly, I'm going to get 4 weeks of work. And I wound up staying with the show for almost 27 years. And today it is the longest running, before COVID, it was the longest running show in Las Vegas history. Longer than Siegfried and Roy, longer than Jubilee, who I think were the other two who held the record. But just an amazing journey. And I'm happy to say it's still going. It's led to doing other characters. When I first joined Legends, all I did was Buddy Holly. And just out of necessity or out of maybe even boredom, you want to grow as an artist. I started doing other characters and other voices. And it was really, it's been a wonderful journey. And I am writing a book. A lot of people, B. Fogelman, Sherry Ray's mom, used to tell me,
there you go,
you need to write a book.
That's
because people say, George, you have more stories than the Empire State Building.
Yes.
And it's just been wonderful, and it continues. And I am so excited, Ryan, to be back with your production the day the music didn't die. And my favorite part of the show, I like everybody on the show. The show is just a dynamo. And but I love that rock and roll medley at the end, because that thing just revs up, man. It just revs up, and really is a lot of fun. And you can tell.
Yeah,
that's my favorite part of the show.
Yeah, agree.
Let me ask each of you a question here, and just you probably won't have to take too long to think about it. How many years have you been involved in entertainment, Timmy? I want to see what the combined total of experience here is.
Professionally, well, you know what?
Well, just give me, like entertainment. Give me a number of years.
Oh God, 40.
Okay, 40. Stingray.
About the same thing, about 40 years, or maybe a little bit more.
Okay,
but not too much more than that.
80, 81, 2, whatever. Georgie.
51 years.
Think about that now. We're talking 130, 135 years of entertainment experience.
Yeah.
Going to bat in this show. Now, I'm gonna tell you guys something that I don't know that I've ever really came out and just maybe early on I might have said this. Let me give you a little background and the audience a little background about how this show happened. There was a time when I would bring in shows to a casino down in Louisiana called Coshada Casino Resort in Kinder, Louisiana, and they were awesome. And for nearly 10 years, man, it was either myself doing the shows, or eventually got to the point where it's like that I would come and do a show for a month, but then they would want to bring in another show. And I was always open to just saying, hey, who do you want? Who does the casino want? Because why am I trying to fight what the casino wants? You know what I mean? And I know that happened in the past, and that, hey, I'm here to work with you, not against you, But as it grew and grew and grew, I tried to maybe add a little bit more production value into the shows. And at one point, a gentleman by the name of Jay Treese, who was the entertainment director there at the time,
yeah, remember him.
He said, "Hey, you know, I'd really like to do the Winter Dance Party, which is obviously the show that the Big Bopper and Buddy Holly and Ritchie Valens were part of back in the day, and when the tragedy struck." But he goes, "You know, I'd like you to put this together." And I said, "Let me wrap my head around it." And now I went to bed that night. I remember going to bed that night, and in my head, I knew what he was talking about. He was talking about, you know, a recreation of the Winter Dance Party. But in my head, I could not get out of my head George Trillinger and Stingray Anthony, because there's nobody that I've ever met or experienced who could do the characters better, and really nobody that I would rather work with. And whenever you obviously know that, then you're settling for second best or not as good. But the thing was this, it was like, how can I write this show? You know, you guys have 130 years of entertainment experience combined. That's awesome. That also means that, including myself now, we're not the youngest chickens out there anymore. All right. So how do we find a way to maybe incorporate those two? And I remember going to bed just about ready to go to sleep, and it hit me. The plane didn't crash. And then all of a sudden, I was up out of the bed and I was on my computer just writing notes. And before it was all said and done, it was 4 a.m, and I had the entire show written out and presented it the next day. And the basic concept is, listen, this is great music. All right. And it is a tragedy what happened with the plane crash and these 3 young guys dying. Terrible tragedy. And, you know, it's remembered as the day the music died. But if that plane hadn't crashed, you know, these guys could be around today. They might be older, but they might have also sang not just the hits that we know of, but maybe they sang other songs. So you automatically enter this world of like possibility, which is really exciting. The only thing that came to mind was like, well, who would be the Big Bopper? And once again, it just came down to my own experiences with people. Timmy and I worked probably 7-ish years together in Myrtle Beach. And man, I learned firsthand that Tim Stamper is an incredible entertainer. And I look at value. You know, yes, I love hearing a great singer. But I would rather watch an entertainer than just a great singer who can blow notes, but is otherwise, you know, kind of boring to watch. I would like to be entertained.
Here.
And there are, you know, listen, I love opera, and I could sit and watch Pavarotti sing all day long, but there's something about him that's entertaining as well as amazing singing. But it's just like, you know, there's some great singers, but that's not what this show's about. You guys are all individually great at what you do, great vocalists and everything, but you have this other talent that is rare, and it's the ability to connect and the ability to entertain people. And man, I thought about the sandbox of this show with your personalities and skills as entertainers and vocalists, and there's really nothing that can't be done in the sandbox that is this show. So I love it because basically I get to just sit back and say, I thought of something, but really the magic is stepping back and letting you guys just do what you do. And so that's what's really fascinating about this show. And putting you guys in the positions of comfort and ability to do whatever you want to do. So it's a really special thing. I know that you might have seen it on video, but I've watched it and I get choked up, man. I do, because it's powerful, because it's real. And not everyone has that chip, that ability to be so real on stage. So you guys,
in my opinion, one of the most touching moments of the show the show takes you on this journey, and there's moments in the show, especially when you're playing the hits and you're thinking about it. And then you do the rock and roll medley, and then it crescendos, energy, 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 and then you start American Pie. And as soon as you start singing American Pie, that audience, there's a real emotional connection with that song. And then by the end, everybody's singing it, and it's incredible. There's a few moments on stage where I get choked up.
Yeah,
just looking around.
Same here.
George, you just said the word there. That point when it does a complete blackout and drop, that's not just a moment. That's an emotional experience. I've watched many people in the crowd wiping their eyes.
When they figure out what song you're going into, a long, long time ago, I get goosebumps.
Yeah, same here. Got me again.
Yeah.
I feel bad for George. Do you start that out? I don't even.
That's Ray.
No.
That's Ray starts
Ray
it out.
started out.
I thought Ray started out. What's funny is
we better rehearse, boys.
Yeah, right. I often have thought, like, I would not want to be Ray in that moment, because I get emotionally choked up about things all the time, and like the older I get, the worse it is, and I'm not afraid to shed a tear. And yeah, but man, just to start out,
it's when the lights go down, man, and that her first chord come in a long, long time ago. It's like, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Even me,
the atmosphere
I'm there.
Cools down, you know.
Right.
Everybody just listens.
Welcome back to reality, in a show that just rips your heart out. Like, oh, that's exactly what that song was about.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it's so, and it's not an intentional sell. It's just by nature of what's going on in that rock and roll medley. Everybody is having fun. And you guys you're not selling it. You're just having fun in the moment, along with you're experiencing the same thing with the audience in that moment. And you're like, hey, we're having fun. You can have fun, and they're having fun, and you can feel that energy transfer between you and the audience, and you've got them. And everything is just, and then boom.
You know what?
It gives you a
almost
second.
It's like them experiencing the plane wreck right there at that moment. Yay! Boom!
But it didn't happen.
Over. Right.
Which is cool.
Yeah. So it's just a really magical moment. I wish I could really define what the it factor is, other than, and I believe that the it factor is the combination of you three. I don't think that this show works with just any other people. And, you've seen this happen in a number of shows. You've seen productions of $1 Million Quartet, for example, that are really good, but it's the people, playing the characters.
Right.
And you've seen $1 Million Quartet with some other guys, and it's just not the same show. I don't know of any three gentlemen who could pull off this show the way you guys do. So
I think
it's an experience.
What really contributes to this and us being on stage is because us three individually, we have our own talent. Like, we don't go out and pretend that we're doing this. We do it. This is what we do.
Right.
We live and breathe this stuff. So, I mean, any time of the day, any morning, any afternoon, if we're sitting down at home and all of a sudden we're on stage, it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And I got to thank you, Ryan, for letting us expand and doing more than what Ritchie or Buddy or Bopper would do. It gives us an opportunity to shine more and show us our talent.
Well, what's interesting about that
stuff,
Ray, I did a gig with you somewhere out west. I forget, Oregon or somewhere. I think.
Oh, the car show. Yeah.
Lance Lipinski was there as well. And
yeah.
So we did that show, and I appreciate you bringing me out there and doing that. But what was really cool about it was I got to see, not for the first time, but I did get to see probably an extended version of exactly what you do. Because you were up on stage for, an hour or whatever, and you were singing, you were singing everything. And I thought that was part of the thing that came back. George Trillinger, another perfect example. I've hired him to do other characters besides Buddy Holly, the Ed Sullivan stuff, and Mick Jagger, and all these different things, Hank Williams Sr., all these different things. You get to see that, hey, these guys can do more than just their character. But if they can do their character and you give them an avenue where it's open, you don't have to just sing the songs that Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, or Ritchie Valens sang, because we're in this other alternate universe where
that's
they
what
would have
makes
sang
the
more.
show so different. That's what's beautiful about it. Everybody gets to expand and show we have other things other than, That'll Be the Day and La Bamba and Donna and Chantilly Lace. We can do other things too. Yeah, that's what's great about this show. That's what I love about it.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, as far as the band goes, I'm trying to bring back almost the original guys that you played with at Kashada. So I think that'll be nice just to have some of that unifying.
Homecoming.
Homecoming. Andrew will be on drums.
Oh, great.
Oh, right.
Brett Lacasse will be there.
Lacasse? How'd you get him onto the car restoration?
Oh, no, he's flying now.
He's a pilot now.
Flying.
He's a literal.
I thought he was he doing car restorations there during COVID?
He was doing car restorations. He built a cabin and decided he was going to become a pilot. And guess what? He is one now. Dude.
He's
awesome. He's flying. It's amazing. His story. I did an episode with him. You should check it out. It's pretty interesting. But he just passed his commercial pilot's license whatever test. He got a 93%.
I told him I was jealous about that, by the way.
Oh yeah, he's
That's
something
so
else.
Cool, man. Good for him.
Yeah,
that's
so
great.
We're gonna have a great cast. It was interesting. I was talking to the promoter about this, and he said, "Man, this sounds like a great idea, but we've never had anything like this. So I don't know what the response is going to be." And I just told him, I was like, "Listen, this show should have taken off, and of course, 2020 came around and made things."
That's the truth, man.
Yeah, it really kind of ruined some things. So this is maybe this is just a second to get it back out there. But I'm telling you, if the people listening, if you see this show, you will absolutely love it. And you don't have to be a fan of the Big Bopper, Ritchie Valens, or
Buddy Holly.
You don't have to be
Buddy Hackett.
Yeah, Buddy Hackett. You don't have to be
Rich.
You don't have to be a fan of music. You don't have to be
Buddy Love.
Buddy Greco.
I like Buddy Love.
Buddy Love.
Hey, lady.
Nutty Buddy.
It's just one of those things, man, that intrinsically just touches the American experience, I think, and it ignites something, almost tribal inside of us that it connects, man. So it's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Oh man, I tell you what, to breathe life back into this after COVID and all that. Oh God.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I'll tell you what, we're going to get working on some production ideas and whatnot. And I really want this to shine. And I'm so excited. Folks, if you get a chance, please come out to see The Day the Music Didn't Die at Penn's Peak in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. This is on December 7th, Saturday, December 7th. Tickets are available online at pennspeak.com. Don't miss this show and, make a weekend of it. All right, come on out. I'll be performing the night before as Elvis. And it's an annual thing we do. We'll throw in some Christmas songs and have some fun. December 6th, that's a Friday night. But the 7th, definitely come out. Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. It's a beautiful venue on top of a hill in the Poconos. You look out the back and you can see over 100 miles away across the top of the mountain. So it's a pretty special place.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yep. Keep on rocking. God bless you, friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks,
Appreciate
man.
it. See you,
Thanks,
fellas, in a
RP.
few weeks.
Thanks, guys. God bless. See you soon. Can't wait.
Ciao.
Originally, it was Buddy Holly, Tommy Alsop, and Waylon Jennings who were supposed to be on the flight. But because the Big Bopper was suffering from the flu, he swapped places with Waylon Jennings, taking his seat on the plane. And it was Tommy Alsop who lost his seat to Ritchie Valens over a simple coin toss. Folks, don't miss this amazing performance coming to Penn's Peak in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania this December 7th, 2024. Make a weekend of it, as I will be performing the night before on the 6th. Stop by penspeak.com for tickets or visit ticketmaster.com. Either way, get your tickets today. This is more than just a show, it's an experience. If you enjoy the Ryan Files, please subscribe to our channel. We are on the verge of breaking 1,000 subscribers. And tell your friends. And consider giving this episode a thumbs up. And if you really want to support the channel, stop by theryanfiles.com and click that Become an Agent button. Enjoy the behind-the-scenes access to all things The Ryan Files, including not one but two exclusive content videos specifically about this episode and the show, The Day the Music Didn't Die. You people are amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do something nice for a total stranger this week, and as always, stay curious out there. And I will see you right here next week on The Ryan Files.
The Ryan Files.